Welcome back to episode 18 of the Sense of Time 90% tutorial. Last time we left off after the so-called infinite stairs, ready for the so-called endgame. And if you want to practice endgame, there's a save file we made which starts right before the magical puzzle. So you don't have to sit through the tomb cutscene and through the infinite stairs every time you want to practice endgame. For that save, you go to the Sense of Time page on speedrun.com and check out the resources. I'll also put a link to that site into the description. And then under saves, there's the magical puzzle save, which is simply download and unpack. And the guide text file included in that tells you how to use the save. As you see here, if you load the save, although it says 90% and the tomb, you start down here in the magical puzzle. And with that, we can go right into the endgame zips. After hitting the loading trigger for the next area, as discussed in the last episode, we can start with the first zip. For that you stand at the lowest stair, face somewhat straight, the aim is not precise at all, and you do a jump, stagger, jump, steps, all slow rewinded. And you then should land inside the tomb, with this light beam being reflected by the mirror. Now that's important because you can mess that zip up, namely if you partially fast rewind the last jump. You fast rewind the steps obviously, but then you by accident fast rewind the jump as well. Then this will happen. In the dagger, some kind of wall will load. You will still land in the tomb, but now the mirror doesn't reflect the light. What simply happens is you hit the loading trigger for this area in the zip, meaning as we know already, cutscenes won't be there and other objects aren't working properly. The problem is, for the further route you have to move the mirror, but as soon as you want to grab it, the game crashes. So just make sure that all the actions of that zip are fully slow rewinded. Also pay attention to not get too close to those tombs, just because there's a cutscene there which takes away your dagger, so avoid that one at all costs. So continuing, you torpedo to kill an enemy here. And after this cutscene, we skip this puzzle by doing the following. You grab this mirror, and in this camera, pull it all the way to the left until you can't move anymore. You then first person aim like this. You line up the right side of the first person cam with the right side of that mirror in the back. You go out of first person cam, draw your sword, and wall jump of the mirror. And you then should grab onto the balcony. If you try to zip through the door or the wall to avoid this easy trick, you will crash because of Farah. Now on this balcony, there are two routes to take. The first one I'll show will be the faster one. For that one, you need a controller because we have to do a first person glitch. And the second one is a backup zip, which is way slower. But if you don't have a controller attached, you have to do that zip. Because at the end of this balcony, there's a cutscene, which just like any cutscene in endgame, it's just related to the story, takes away your dagger. So you wouldn't be able to zip anymore. And we obviously want to avoid that. Okay, for the first one, you climb over the balcony before the cutscene. You climb all the way to the right. And now comes the second form of the first person glitch, which I talked about in an earlier episode. This has to be done somewhat quick, because otherwise the prince puts away his sword and the trick doesn't work anymore. So you draw a sword, go into first person, and up the right side of the first person cam with the right side of that door frame. You then gently push the left analog stick forwards. If done correctly, the prince should hang kind of diagonal, with his left hand not on the fence anymore. And you then jump off the fence, either normally, or if you want to go safe, you go into first person and jump off backwards. And that's how we skip that cutscene, which would take away our dagger. Now for the zip, after doing the wall jump of the mirror, you climb all the way to the left, you get up, and you aim like this. You line up the right side of the first person cam, with this corner separating the darker from the brighter part of the wall. And you then do 2 parries, a jump dagger, and then you do 22 steps on the keyboard. That is extremely important because there's no other way to preserve the aim just because the camera is forced here. So what you do is 1 step to the right and then 21 more steps without going into the cutscene at the end of the balcony. So for example, you could do 5 steps forward, 5 steps left, 5 steps down, 6 steps down, and then you rewind. The actions are slow rewinded. And should land you in this room here. And this is where we also left off after the first person glitch route for that balcony. No matter which route you did, this is the last opportunity to get some sand for the last zips. So if you have less than 3 sands, you should retrieve enemies until you have 3 sands. After that we climb up this wall. At this fountain you heal to full, because this is the last opportunity to heal before the last fight. For the next zip, you destroy those barrels and run against the wall until the prince slows down. That determines your starting position. You turn around, first person aim like this. First person aim such that this darker line is in the middle of the visible part of this pillar. This is somewhat precise, so you should try to replicate that aim. And then you do a jump, 2 parries, a short pause for rewind speed change, 2 parries, and steps. First to parry, a fast rewind it. In the pause you switch to slow rewind. And if your aim was correct, in the jump you will hit the loading trigger, resulting in this area deloading. So with the correct aim you should have loaded the next area and also landed on top of the bridge. So this whole area should be properly loaded. Because parries are done quite slow, you should exactly copy the step pattern I do here, just so you fit all the actions into the zip. So it's walk steps downwards, full scroll upwards, full scroll downwards. If you do the steps any slower, you won't fit all the actions into the zip. And now we come to the last zip of this episode. For the setup, you do a wall run right under the torch, you turn around, do a dagger, and then you aim like this, line up the right side of the first person cam with this part of the fence. Also somewhat precise, to try to copy the aim as well. You then fully zoom in. The inputs for the zip will start with a jump, and if you want to go safe, you leave just a small pause between that jump and the following action, just because a fast rewinded jump has a higher chance of killing you compared to a slow rewinded jump. Okay, so the actions I do is jump, small pause, and then dagger backflip, jump, 2 daggers, jump, steps. The zip is fast rewinded, and if you want to go safe, you can switch to slow rewind right before the last jump. After doing the zip and hitting all the triggers, you should land here. You hit multiple triggers in that zip, and if you miss any of those, you most likely misaimed. So yeah, the aim for the zip is really somewhat important. Since there's a major route split here, I will end this episode here, and next time in episode 19, we will finish this tutorial. So thanks for watching.